Hello, fellow music nuts, it's me, Covey, with another personal spin, and today's album is Hours by David Bowie. This album was released in 1999, and it sees Bowie completing his 90s period with a somewhat lackluster album. It's not sure if it's just one song or if the whole album is part of a concept based on a computer game called Omicron or something like that. But it's far more boring than that makes it sound. In general, the album sounds boring. Bowie sounds tired. And sort of sounds like he's struggling to sing, really. But on top of that, it's got a really slow, steady pace, and it never really picks up either. It's and so generally the album is quite hard to actually listen to. It doesn't hold your attention well at all. I think part of the reason for this is it's got quite a pastel-y sort of soft production, which makes it sort of lacking in energy in general. Even the slightly more upbeat tracks are still quite sort of not that energetic. And I think the other reason it's so sort of lackluster is partly because the running order is possibly one of the album's biggest failings. I think the first 5, there are 10 songs on the album, and the first 5 are all sort of what I would term slow, ballady type songs. And then it goes into one of the highlights of the album, and then it sort of goes back to a sort of a slow, plodding arrangement. To make matters worse, there's not a whole lot instrumentally going on either. There's not really any experimentation or anything like that, and the actual instrumentation is quite sort of bland, I suppose, but it doesn't really do a lot with what it does have, if that makes sense. And I think it was trying to be far more grand than it really is. But I think it would have been better with a different running order. It opens up with Thursday's Child, which in itself is a pretty good song, but it's not very lively, and it doesn't really grab your attention, because it's then followed by 3 or 4 more slow, plodding songs. It just doesn't really work for me anyway. I find it quite tiring to listen to. I mean, I'd probably put this on when I was trying to go to sleep and wanted some background music. That's essentially what the album feels like. It's kind of background music, and Bowie just sounds like he didn't really want to be there. There's no real enthusiasm at all in his vocals. So that gets the not so nice stuff out of the way. Let's try and focus on some of the better sides to the album. There's quite good guitar playing in it, actually, with quite a unique, interesting guitar tone, particularly on Survive and Pretty Things Are Going to Hell, and a couple of others. There's quite a little interesting guitar work there. And generally speaking, while the songs aren't the most amazing songs Bowie's ever done, they're not that terrible in and of themselves. It's just they're all contained on this album, and none of them are particularly amazingly wonderful, so it ends up being a lackluster album. However, my top tracks are Thursday's Child. I just wouldn't have opened with it. Pretty Things Are Going to Hell, which is kind of the highlight for me. It's the only track that features a different sort of feel, but even that's quite sort of run-of-the-mill, really. Dreamers is quite a good ending song, and Survive has got some nice guitar work in it. But generally the rest of the album is it's not great. It's not great. And upon doing research and watching other people's reviews, it seems that this opinion is generally the general consensus of literally everybody who's heard the album. I did spend all day listening to it on repeat yesterday, trying to sort of think of something nice to say about it, but it's really difficult. It's not a great album, really. It's probably the worst of his 90s period. And honestly, I've listened to it so many times I'm bored silly of it, and I can't wait to have this done and finished. And so I have to say, it's probably his worst album. I would rather listen to Never Let Me Down than this. But then again, I quite like Never Let Me Down, but a lot of people don't like it. So hopefully that will give you the idea of how lackluster and just... it's just quite lame. It's got no energy to it at all. And unfortunately, for that reason, I'm only going to give it 5 out of 10. Possibly even 4. I haven't quite decided. I'm struggling. I'm trying to find something good that I like about it. But other than those few little things, I haven't found anything that I do particularly like about it. As an album as a whole, the individual couple of songs that I mentioned, I could probably tell you a couple of really good things about them, but they're not enough to bring this album up. And I'm not impressed with this one at all, unfortunately. So 5 out of 10 drums, 4 Hours by David Bowie. Thank you for watching. I have been Cubby. This has been a review on Hours by David Bowie. And I will be reviewing more stuff soon. And I'll have some ranking videos out today as well. I've got a couple in the works. Thanks for watching. If you like my stuff, please subscribe and like my channel. And I will see you soon.